This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 206 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
At a young age, I started wearing all black on stage because I wanted to feel like Return of the Jedi Luke.
It was the most strange place to be, but you knew you were on Hoth. I mean, you could have been parachuted there blindfolded, took the blindfold off and go, I know where I am.
Yeah, that's great. Ugh, makes me cry every time.
Inside of the warm hotel, drinking cocoa and watching Mark and Harrison run around the snow and let them deal with it.
That is such an astute observation. I couldn't agree more.
Everyone has got to bring their inflatable tauntaun. We could have like tauntaun races.
Oh, my goodness.
Lucasfilm Disney, why are you not doing this?
George Lucas and Harrison Ford.
You don't understand how much that makes my day to hear that.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland.
Here we go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets love. It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
Can you use a bird to write with? It's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers. Hey, do you want a good dose of fun, positive fandom this week? Well, if you do, then we want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars and Disney fandom. I am Richard Wolosky, and once again, have got a jaw full of Novocaine. That's for personal reasons, though. But everyone, please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah, who went through a little bit of a scare this morning because we thought we had lost this entire show.
Yes, we did. We had recorded 2 interviews for the show, and Richard, you had all day yesterday edited those, plus a talking apes, and this morning we could not find the sequence. It had disappeared, and we were freaking out.
Yes.
But you know what? We found it.
Yes, thank goodness.
We found it, and we're going to change a little bit of how we do things now because of that. So that doesn't happen again, and we don't have to panic.
So, while I was getting shot up with Novocaine to the dentist, you were over here freaking out, and for that, I apologize.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's all forget about that,
yes,
and let's
please
focus on what is right in front of us, which is all of our Skywalkers listening. And we want to give you guys a big Wookiee hug right now to our family of Skywalkers. We want to thank you for listening to the show every week. We want to thank you for listening if this is your first time. That's amazing. And also, every week we go live on Facebook and or YouTube. This week we're doing both. And I want to say hi, you guys, to the SkyTubers and the Facehuggers who are watching right now. Look, Kyle Fisher's having a special day, and Justin Smith is having a special day, and Matt Clifton, and there were some people on YouTube, but their comments went away. And
do you want another Romper Room reference this week?
We're doing our own Romper Room now. It's spiraled. I'm sorry. All right. So Skywalkers, whether you like or don't like Romper Room, let us know. Please tweet at us at SkywalkingPod.
Come on. Everyone out there loves themselves some Romper Room. Don't be fooled.
But you know what? We just love it when you share your joy in our adventure through fandom. So, Skywalkers, once again, our YouTube channel is blowing up this past week. It's been very exciting. So head over to youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland to subscribe. If you happen to be listening right now and you're on YouTube, please like the video and then go hit that little subscribe button, say yay, and be one of now over 1,250 people who are subscribed to us. It's very cool.
So, Sarah, we had a little mini production on our YouTube channel yesterday.
Yes, we went live for 7 minutes because we wanted to announce the winners of our The Last Jedi Voodoo contest. We had 5 digital copies to give away via Voodoo. We want to thank them very much for that. And so we announced the winners on our YouTube channel. So we still have 2 people who have not claimed their prize yet. And I want to give them a week to hopefully watch that video before I contact them. So if you think that you have entered and you haven't watched the video yet, be sure to watch the video. So head once again to youtube.com/skywalking through Neverland and check, because we announced those 5 winners. 7 minutes of your life.
I think this is the first contest that Jeff Long didn't win.
What?
Once again, 2 more winners, and we'll contact you in the next day or so on Twitter if you don't contact us first.
Yes, but please watch that video. Let us know.
Yes. Now, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on March the 14th, 2018. So, Sarah, guess what happened this day in Star Wars history on March the 13th, yesterday, so 39 years ago, yesterday.
Okay.
What happened on March the 13th, 1979?
March 13th.
I'll give you a hint, and you SkyTubers and facehuggers can join in there too.
1979.
Yes, a movie was being shot. What movie was being shot in 1979? Let me give you a hint.
Okay.
It's the Star Wars love scene.
What? Han and Leia?
That's right.
Hey, your worship, I'm only trying to help.
Would you please stop calling me that?
Sure, Leia.
You make it so difficult sometimes.
I do, I really do. You could be a little nicer, though. Come on, admit it, sometimes you think I'm all right.
Occasionally, maybe. When you aren't acting like a scoundrel.
Scoundrel?
I had that whole thing memorized. Oh, I love it. I still have it memorized.
And it's great how they called back to that 3PO interruption in The Force Awakens when he bops his head into the frame.
And it's awesome when you're watching it in 3D, too. Because it's literally like center frame. Oh, so funny.
Like 3PO, why you keep blocking these two for? Why?
Oh.
But then, what happened on this date, March the 14th, in Disney history, 2010?
Tangled? Something about Tangled?
So 8 years ago. You're kind of right. Kind of right.
Okay. So 2010 was when Tangled came out, but I don't think it had come out at that point yet.
Well, this is when Tiana became the 9th princess to be officially inducted into the Disney Princess Royal Court.
Ooh, okay.
Now, without looking at the show notes, who is on this list? Who's on this esteemed princess list?
Okay, Snow White.
Right.
Cinderella.
Gotcha.
Sleeping Beauty.
Right.
Mulan.
Right.
Okay. Little Mermaid. Ariel.
Okay, just to let everyone know she's not looking at the notes.
No. Beauty and the Beast. Beauty. Belle.
Which one?
Belle.
Beauty or the Beast?
Meh. Belle.
Belle, okay.
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas, she made it.
So that's 7. So beyond Tiana, there's one more at this point?
There's 3 more. There's 11 total.
Oh, so you're going into the future now.
So Tiana was the 9th.
Okay.
So there's 3 more you haven't named yet.
So Tiana. Now I lost count.
Give you a
Rapunzel, obviously.
They're making a Rapunzel. Yes, Rapunzel is one of them.
Yes.
What live action film is coming out starring
Mulan?
this princess?
We already said Mulan.
Yes, the one that sparked all the controversy because of the casting.
Oh, Jasmine.
Yes.
Duh.
Jasmine.
Okay. Jasmine. Oh, Merida's not in it, is she?
Merida is in there.
What?
She was the 11th.
She's from the other studio. What's up with that?
I know. Well, you can tell the other Disney princesses did not induct her in. It was the head of Disney Studios, I guess.
Okay. Huh. All right.
Now, if it were up to you, who would be the next princess to be inducted?
Me?
That goes without saying.
You know, Sarah means princess.
Okay, she didn't start off as a Disney princess, but she just ended up as a Disney princess since October 30th, 2012.
What are you referring to?
Don't make me cut this part out.
I'm going to feel stupid once you say the answer.
You
is
will.
it on here?
No, it's not on there. Come on.
Gotta
get to the show.
Is this a Pixar thing or a...
No. It's a Lucasfilm thing.
Oh my God. You mean Princess Leia?
I'm the one who's been shot up with Novocaine.
Well, I was yesterday, okay? So I have an excuse.
Yeah, all right. Princess Leia.
Princess Leia.
She's got to be the next one.
Yes, but... Well, okay, I think she's going to be with those princesses as of Wreck-It Ralph 2. Wreck-It Ralph breaks the internet.
Right.
Yay.
All right, so now one more big thing happened on this date, March 14th, 1997, and that was the release of Return of the Jedi Special Edition.
Yay! Which is why we had like 2 birthday parties that year, or 3, because I think we saw Empire Strikes Back on my birthday, but then, like a week later, we went and saw Return of the Jedi.
Isn't that magical when you can see a Star Wars film on your birthday?
It was awesome.
I recall I was working on a commercial for Kraft Cheese, and they had all these remote-controlled cows, and I was controlling one of the cows.
Uh-huh.
But yet I had friends waiting for me to see Return of the Jedi in Burbank, only the cows kept breaking down.
Ugh.
And so I knew I had to see it on opening day. I had just been accustomed. I have seen every Star Wars film on opening day if I could, the first showing. But because I was working on this commercial, I couldn't see the first show. So I was going to see the 7 o'clock show. Didn't make that one. I was going to go see the 9 o'clock show. Didn't make that one. So finally, the cows somehow couldn't get fixed. Richard, can the cows get fixed? No, we're done for the day. Okay, so they wrapped.
Nice.
Yes. So I made that Kraft Cheese commercial wrap for the day. Because I had to see Return of the Jedi Special Edition on opening day. Plus, they were giving away the commemorative Luke Skywalker action figure.
Oh, man.
So I had to get one of those.
Yeah, you did.
All right, that comes first.
Wow.
All right, so all those events happened on this date, March 14th, except for the Han and Leia love scene.
And we missed that by a day.
Yes.
Oh.
All right, now, coming up on this week's show, well, we're going to tell you all about our amazing experiences seeing Mark Hamill get his star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood.
Woohoo! Yeah, we were there with our great friends from liningup.net. And, partly because of them and partly because we got up really early, we got a great vantage point that was really up close and personal and at the front of the barricades.
Yeah, we could literally reach out and touch Billie Lourd or Kelly Marie Tran or any one of the Mark Hamill family. We didn't because, the boundary thing.
Exactly. But it was amazing. We could reach out and touch them with our lightsabers, which we got.
Right. So we'll tell you all about our fun experiences there. And we'll also be speaking with our good friend Din, lead singer of the band F105. They are just about to release their self-titled debut album and their second single off that album, Desert Planet. Now, their songs are very heavily inspired by Star Wars themes, and they're destined all to become earworms. Great. If you like, there's a little bit of a soul influence, a little bit of a Doors influence,
yeah.
So you're going to love their music.
Yeah. Now, also on this episode, we have Mark Newbold from FanthaTracks, and he's going to tell us about his trip to the ice planet of Hoth. Or, as we call it here on Earth, Finse, Norway.
I want to call it Hoth.
You can call it Hoth if you want.
In fact, in school, when I had to write a paper on Norway, I kept calling it Hoth. Ticked my teacher off. Mrs. Patterson hated me.
Did she talk about Finse, Norway a lot?
Well, we had to each write a paper about a different country. I was always going to go with the Star Wars country. I kept calling it Hoth. I would tell her, but they pronounce it Hoth. Drove her nuts. All right, but go on.
Well, every year, this is the second year running, that there's been a gathering that includes guests who worked on The Empire Strikes Back. And they also visit actual Hoth shooting locations. So every year, I think around this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a group that goes to Finse, Norway. So can we say bucket list item?
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing. And they said it was cold and I could wear this. Okay.
All right.
And you could wear your Han Solo jacket.
Oh, believe me, already packed. I already have a suitcase packed and ready to go. That's my Chewie costume.
Nice.
So we have lots coming up, especially the special edition of
Things We Want to Share.
Do you see how I tied the whole special edition thing in?
I did. That was interesting. That was special.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
On Thursday, March 8th, 2018, Mark Hamill received the 2,630th star on Hollywood's legendary Walk of Fame, and his star is right in front of Disney's El Capitan Theater.
Do you know what else was in front of Disney's El Capitan Theater?
Well, Tinkerbell's right there.
Us.
Oh,
we were right there because we got to attend this amazing event.
Yes.
And big thanks to liningup.net.
Yes.
Hey, Rick Peralta and Samir, if you're still with us on YouTube.
Yeah. Big shout out to Levon and Ryan and the gang who are there as well. So, yeah, we got to go to Mark Hamill's star ceremony, and there was a big, huge line. Well, the line wasn't so big when we walked up at, 5 a.m.?
Oh, it was before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and luckily, liningup.net had unofficially organized a group, which was fantastic.
Yes.
And we had a great time with them because we hadn't seen them since, December? All those months ago?
I know, it's terrible.
Way too long. Then we can't see them for another, 2 more months when Han Solo premieres?
Exactly.
Oh, the pain.
Oh, and we also want to give a shout out to Justin Smith, who is also there and who's watching us right now on Facebook.
Right. Now, Sarah, when the line finally got moving, they let everyone through the metal detectors. What did we do? Where did we go from there?
Oh, okay. So they had it set up basically on part of Hollywood Boulevard. They had roped off because they had the ceremony section, which was going to be right in front of El Capitan. And then right after that, they had these little tents with chairs in them. And on each chair was a name. A name badge. And then behind that was barricades right there. So we were actually sent to this barricaded section that was right behind these chairs.
So these pop-up tents.
Yes, thank you.
For all of the guests.
Uh-huh.
Which included who? Who was there?
Well,
who was sitting right in front of us?
Okay, so we lined up and we were in the front of the barricades and I saw, I saw the names for Billie Lourd, Kelly Marie Tran, Kathleen Kennedy, and Rian Johnson. And I was like, all right, I'm going to stand right here, right in front of this booth. But now when I looked at the ceremony, I was actually behind where the ceremony was going to happen. So Richard, what did you do?
You were at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
So I went over 2 more tents.
Yes.
That's where the Mark Hamill family were being seated. And we were right perpendicular to the stage.
Yes.
And right in 2 seats in front of me was the placard Mark Hamill.
Oh.
So that's where Mark Hamill was going to sit.
Right. And at this point, there's no celebrity guests there at all. It's still early in the morning. They weren't going to get here for another 2 hours.
Yeah, it was about 9:30 at this point, and the ceremony was going to start at 11:30. So we had a little time to wait.
Yes.
Which was good. Because not just a small handful of people showed up, but they had to close down Hollywood Boulevard. And I'm not sure if they were already planning to do that, but behind us, it was at least, I would say, about 25 people thick.
Yes.
Which went all the way out to Hollywood Boulevard. So they had to close down the whole street.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying this is one of the biggest turnouts ever.
Yeah. Although Harrison Ford joked that, there's more people at mine.
No. Yeah, that was more people for my star.
But in a very funny way. But yeah, at one point, because we were so focused in front of us, at one point, I think I took the camera and looked behind, and yeah, I couldn't see the end of the sea of people who were all across Hollywood Boulevard, basically. It was nuts.
Now, I know the Hollywood Walk of Fame site, their website, has got the whole video up there.
Yes.
But we shot our own video, so you'll get to see it from the fans' perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a chance, we showed what the audience looked like, how deep it was.
Yeah.
And that way you can get a really good feeling for what it was like right there up close and personal, and not behind the news cameras.
Exactly. And also where I was, I could see backstage. So a lot of my camera was focused on Harrison Ford and George Lucas and Mark Hamill waiting to go on up to the stage. So I thought that was fun.
Yeah, so they started the ceremony, and...
well, should we say what happened before they started the ceremony?
Oh, yeah, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah.
Jumping ahead. All right, so before the ceremony, at about 10:30, some of the stars started spilling in.
Yes!
The first person I had seen was sound designer Matthew Wood, a.k.a. voice of Battle Droids and General Grievous.
And Roger on the
Freemaker Adventures.
Freemaker Adventures, which at the end I was like, "Hey Matt, Roger," and he gave me a smile.
Yeah. Roger. I yelled Roger too, but he was too far away from me.
Too far away from you. Yeah, he was just 1 tent over from me, so that was super cool. I was stoked to see him.
And then after that came Billie Lourd and Kelly Marie Tran, who were holding hands like besties.
Yes, and they came over. They were escorted over to the tent where I was right there. And you can actually see my part of the video because I saw her. I'm like, Kelly. And she was putting her stuff down on her seat. And then she looked up and she got like verklempt. She like got all, we were all shouting, Kelly and Billy. And she was like, oh, and I was like, Kelly, come on over. And so she came right over to me and I got a selfie with her. But as she started coming over, the press of people behind me, like, pressed me into the barricade. It was crazy.
That's why they called the press.
Well, they weren't the press, though. In fact, a lot of people behind us were not true Star Wars fans. They were autograph hunters.
Right.
Yeah, which was kind of annoying because earlier on in the day, we were like waiting for people to show up and they were like, okay, well, if they come, you're going to let me through, right? I'm like, no, I got here earlier than you.
I got here yesterday.
Yeah. So it's like, no, everyone fends for themselves. But yeah, I just knew in the crush, you never think of other people. You just want what you want, when you want it. So
this might be the first time Kelly Marie Tran had been out in public since all the Last Jedi backlash.
Perhaps.
So I think she was holding Billie Lourd's hand just for support.
Oh,
and who better to get support from than Billie Lourd?
And they both came up to us, and I have video, I have some pictures, but I just kept thanking them for showing up. I don't know what else to say. Thanks for being here. Yay! Awesome. I'm so excited to see you guys. Hey, Kelly. Oh, it's so nice to meet you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you. And they're like signing things after they took pictures with us, and I'm like, thank you guys. What do you say?
I think you clocked in at about 500 thank yous in that 2 minutes.
I know.
But I've never seen Billie Lourd look so much like her mom.
Yeah.
Oh, she and Carrie Fisher right now are just spitting images. Mm-hmm. When Carrie was her age, about early, this would have been the Return of the Jedi special edition, to tie that in. Carrie Fisher, put her next to Billie Lourd. They're identical twins. Mm-hmm. That was amazing. And then came Rian Johnson.
Yeah, Rian Johnson.
He had his camera by his side.
Oh yeah, that was a cool part. At one point I saw Rian taking a picture of the ceremony area with his camera that he talks about, that he used on set and things.
That you'll see on the Last Jedi DVD bonus features. You'll see him running around with his camera. He brought that camera.
Yeah, and it's so awesome. He's like so nice to the fans because he knows what it is to be one. So he immediately came right over to all of us and was signing things and taking some pictures.
Yeah. So you had a lot of the celebrities like Kathleen Kennedy who came over. We're like, yeah, good job on Jon Favreau, because the Jon Favreau news had just broke like 15 minutes beforehand. Yep. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, Jon Favreau. All right.
Good call on Jon Favreau, I think someone said.
And over in our section, we had the Hamill family. They were kind of fun to talk to, but they're no Kathleen Kennedys and Rian Johnsons.
Yeah, in fact, and I didn't know who this was at first, but someone was saying, Howard, and he came right over to where I was standing, and he was signing some things, Indiana Jones posters, and I'm like, Howard, is that Howard Kazanjian? And sure enough, I kind of looked up my phone, and his picture, I was like, that's Howard Kazanjian standing right in front of me, like literally 6 inches away.
Now, I didn't see him. I would have asked him about being a guest for one of our upcoming May shows to celebrate the anniversary of Return of the Jedi, because he was the producer of Return of the Jedi and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I really want to get him on as a future guest. And we didn't get him right then, but we do have some people talking to people who are talking to people who are talking to Howard Kazanjian.
Nice. Well, I said hi.
Yes, you did.
Does that
yes,
count?
you did. Oh, yeah, of course it does. And, sitting right in front of me were the Hamills, like I was just saying, and
Yes.
Mary Lou, who just, how adorable. To see her and Mark
Yes.
Hamill together is so adorable.
She looked beautiful.
Yeah.
And Nathan Hamill looks spitting image of Mark
Yeah.
Hamill as, Empire Strikes Back, I would say?
Yeah. And I kept leaning over and saying, loved you in Phantom Menace, but he didn't hear me.
Aww. What was he in Phantom Menace?
He was one of the Naboo
The
royal
kids?
guards.
Oh, okay.
Right, in the scene where Amidala's decoy traps all the battle droids in that room, and they're all locked in, and the Naboo guards grab all those secret guns, and that's the scene where a battle droid trips over another battle droid.
Oh my.
Funny, small part in Phantom Menace. All right, so now after all that, it's about 11:15, so it's almost time when we all look up, and who's walking out of the El Capitan Theater?
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill himself.
George Lucas. And Harrison Ford. And you could hear the murmur of the crowd start to get bigger, and then all the cheers was like, "Wah!" And then I focus, oh, so cool.
Yeah, of course they did not come up to the fences. Oh,
No.
Yeah, fans would have just lost their mind.
They stayed right behind the stage, which was pretty much right in front of the ticket booth to El Capitan Theater. And yeah, so they were about, what would you say, 15 feet away?
From us?
Yeah, from us.
Oh, no, about 40 feet.
Oh, no, it wasn't that much.
Yeah, it was quite a distance. 15 feet would have been where Billie Lourd was standing with Kelly Marie Tran most of the time.
Okay, well.
All right, so anyway.
Regardless.
Yeah.
They were pretty close.
11:30 came. They started on time.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming at all. Started on time. And up walks the chamber councilman of
Hollywood?
Yeah, that's when everyone was yeah, no one's paying attention.
Yeah.
Because they started the speech off with, I remember sitting in a theater in a galaxy far, far away, and all their little minions start laughing. It's like, oh, come on. So, yeah, no one's paying attention to that. And then they introduce George Lucas.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I hadn't seen George in person in so long.
I've never seen him in person, so I was excited.
Oh, no, you did. It was 2010, and we had gone down to the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood to see the season ending of Clone Wars Season 2, where George Lucas showed up and all these stars.
Okay.
Yeah, where we met Ahmed Best for the first time.
Yeah, I remember
Jar Jar
that.
Binks. Yeah, George Lucas was there at the very, very beginning.
Okay. I guess it was so brief and we were kind of up there.
It was brief.
Yeah.
All right, so George Lucas got up there and gave this very, very emotional speech.
Mark Hamill is a character that can't be written. He is extremely enthusiastic about everything he does, and that's exactly what I was looking for when I was looking for Luke Skywalker. I was looking for somebody that had grown up on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, that was very naive about what was going on in the world, young, but enthusiastic. And he proved to wear his medal well. You've come a long way from that casting session with the thing to getting your star on Hollywood Boulevard.
And as George Lucas was giving his speech, Harrison Ford was going to go next, and I was watching him a lot because he's Harrison Ford, and I was towards the backstage, and right when George Lucas went up, he took out some notes from his pocket. I was looking at his notes, and he had a speech all prepared that he had written. So I thought that was really, really neat. And then it was Harrison Ford's turn to go up, and he also said some very heartfelt, moving things.
There's a lot more people that showed up for my star. A lot more. I prepared myself for this experience by going back and looking at the screen test that I did with Mark. And I was surprised, actually, how good he was. Not that I felt at the time that he wasn't good. I thought he was great, and he had just the right blend of youthfulness and enthusiasm. When thinking about today, I was really sorry that we don't have the other member of our trio here to celebrate with us. But I feel her presence. Mark is a friend that I don't see very often. Our lives have diverged to a certain extent, but I am very pleased for him. He has been the master of his own experience, his own life, and I'm happy for you, pal. Congratulations.
Where I was videotaping, I got this really nice tight shot of Mark and Harrison, and it felt like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. And Harrison put his hand on his shoulder. They gave each other a hug. Oh, so sweet. And then Harrison Ford mentioned Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. And Billie Lourd gave her a fist pump.
Yeah. In fact, I was right over by where she was, and Harrison Ford mentioned it's almost like she's with us here today, and Billie Lourd was like, she is, and kind of said that. But I don't know how many people picked that up, but she's right here. She's right here, I think she said.
Yeah, and you see Billie Lourd, you see Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think was the best line of the whole day between George Lucas, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill?
Well, thank you all so much. Words truly fail me. It's hard to convey my gratitude, my joy, the exhilaration of being recognized this way. I haven't been this speechless since Force Awakens. But I do really want to thank George Lucas. Let's be honest, if it weren't for the genius of George Lucas, I wouldn't be standing here today. I want to thank Disney for making me a part of their family. They were certainly a part of our family growing up. And finally, and most importantly, I want to thank all of you here today. You are with me through thick and thin, in the highs, in the lows, and everywhere in between. If it weren't for the public, I'd be nowhere. And from Jedi to Joker and back again, it's been a fantastic ride. Thank you so much, and may the Force be with each and every one of you.
Oh, well.
One line sticks out to me.
Yeah, one line sticks in my head.
I'm sure it's the same line.
Okay, when Mark Hamill says from Jedi to Joker and back again, that one?
Okay, I was going to say I'm as speechless as I was in The Force Awakens.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and then Justin just pointed out on Facebook that he didn't sign anything. No, Mark Hamill did not come over to the crowd and sign because he'd still be there right now.
Yeah, and as noted previously, like whenever any of the celebrities came closer, like just the whole crush of people would just crush over, and like if you're right at the barricades, you know, you're in danger of being crushed because like, yeah, it was kind of intense.
He did acknowledge us. I was wearing my Yavin ceremony yellow jacket.
Yeah.
And I kept yelling, Mark, Mark. And he looked over and gave me the...
Yeah, he very much played to the crowd. And a couple times he did the whole heart and it pointed to everyone.
I love you.
Yeah, and that was amazing. Like, just seeing that in person, he's pointing at you. Like, I was tearing up. I was like, it's Mark Hamill. He's him.
So the whole ceremony was about, a half an hour?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then they all left. Well, then, before they left, R2-D2 came rolling out.
Yeah.
Funny how our good friend Mike Senna suddenly showed up at the same time as R2-D2.
Yeah.
Anyway, so everyone got great pictures in front, right at the star on the boulevard.
Yeah.
There's Mark, Kelly, and Billy, and Mark, George, and Harrison, flanked by 2 stormtroopers. So if you go, I'm sure if you look up on Google, you'll find a ton of pictures.
Yeah.
Or even look on our Facebook group, you'll find a ton of pictures.
Well, and also I made a post on skywalkingthroughneverland.com that has our video plus pictures that we took at the event as well. So if you want to see that, head to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and look for under the articles section, not the podcast section.
Yeah, we also saw some other Skywalker friends. We saw David Beekle.
Yes.
We saw Chris Sequel from Star Wars Underworld.
Yeah, and then of course Justin Smith.
Uh-huh.
And Justin stayed around long enough to get a picture with the Mark Hamill star.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we were waiting around, but it was taking him forever to break down the barricades, the gates, the tents.
And it was already past 1:30 going swiftly on to 2, which traffic...
Yeah.
LA traffic. If you don't know about it, it sucks.
Yeah, so we had to get home, and it was going to be another, hour? Hey, Justin, how long did it take after we left for them to...
break all that down
so you can get a picture? I'm going to guess it was about another hour. And, it's going to be there.
Yep.
They're not taking it away, so the star will be there.
And we'll be at the El Capitan Theater, too, so, we'll get a picture next time we're there.
And right after the ceremony, we were approached by a couple of newscasters who interviewed us. However, I have not seen any of this footage or seen any of the pictures. And there were photographers there from every outlet. And since we were up close, we got in every single shot. But I don't know, Sarah, I have not seen any of these pop up online. So if anyone has seen any of this news footage or pictures of us floating around, please send them over to us, okay?
Yeah, we want to know. We want to see them.
Now, if you want to see our specially edited together footage, go over to our YouTube channel.
Yes, that's youtube.com/skywalkingthroughneverland. Justin said it wasn't too long after we left. Oh, well.
It's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Justin. You couldn't have lied.
Oh, wow. Well, it was fun reliving those memories. Thanks, Richard.
Well, thank you, and thank you once again to liningup.net.
Now, let's talk with our good friend Din, the lead singer of F105, about fandom, his music, and Mortis.
And then in the meantime, I'll go tell our landscaper to quiet down. We have the red light blinking outside. He should know better. In the past, you may have heard us play clips of the song Rebel Girl from the band F105. Well, they are about to release their second single, Desert Planet, off of their self-titled debut album.
Here with us now is Din, lead singer of F105 and very active member in the Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group.
Hey, Din!
Hey, Richard. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, thanks for coming on. This is your debut. Your debut. We played your songs, we've read your emails and your comments, but now we get to hear from the man himself.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think one time you played audio clip that I left you.
Yeah. Now let's talk all about your song Desert Planet, but before we do that, let's start off by talking about your rise, fall, and Phoenix-like rise once again for your love of Star Wars fandom.
My rise and fall.
And then Phoenix-like rise because you're back once again. Back with a vengeance.
This is a positive show, right? We're not talking about my fall from grace.
You know what? Everyone's got an arc. Every good story has an arc.
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking about my literal fall from my bike accident.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so August 22, last summer, the night of our last show, actually. We haven't played live since because I haven't been able to. But I went on a late night bike ride to go get some food. I'm always up all night after a show, kind of from adrenaline. And I got in a huge bike accident. And I hit my head. I had a major concussion. And I was apparently lucky to survive the first week.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't say that to anyone for any sort of sympathy because I'm good. It was a life-changing experience for the better. I just say that because I'm the cliche in the sense that when something like that happens, you really do reevaluate things.
And what exactly did you reevaluate?
That's a huge question. I think it just made me stop what I was doing because I practically had to. I couldn't do as much physical stuff, so I had to stay home a lot. And that forced me into the situation of reflecting and contemplating a lot, more so than the realization that, oh my God, I almost died. I need to change my ways, that kind of thing. Although, there's some truth in that, being a little less reckless. And I just spent a lot of time thinking about, how I just wanted to maybe focus more on connecting with people that were important to me. When I think I'm an ambitious person, I guess, with music, more because I just love music and I want to do as much of it and I want to reach as many people as I can, not sort of any ambition for any kind of power or anything like that, but I just want to make as much art as I can. But I think maybe I'm a little out of balance. I spend so much time doing that.
Yeah.
So I spent more time reaching out to family and friends since then.
That's good advice for everybody. Yeah. And then it sounded like you were a little put off by the Star Wars fandom there for a while. What happened there? But you know what? Once again, every good story has an arc, and you're back with a vengeance. But what exactly happened with the Star Wars fandom that put you off?
Right. So the Star Wars fandom stuff and the accident created a sort of confluence of me wanting to distance myself and go on a kind of exile from everything. I've only appeared on one podcast since then. Haven't played any live shows. I wanted to get to a place where negativity wasn't affecting me. I wanted to find that source inside me which created positivity and joy, and then that should affect other people. So I realized I was out of balance, being affected by a lot of the drama and negativity. And I really, that's all I want to say about that, because I really do believe your focus determines your reality, and anything you focus on, you sort of create more of, right?
Yes.
Hear.
So I just wanted to focus on how am I going to change internally to come back to this thing if and when in a way where I'd have a positive effect.
Okay.
Because I had thought that that's who I was, but then I found myself getting drawn into some conflicts, and that's from a place of fear. If you felt like anyone who feels like they're losing something is going to get scared of it. So I had to get over that fear and just think, I don't really want to get into specifics, but I came to a place where I was like, if I lose the ability to play live from the concussion, if I lose position I have in fandom as a musician, then that's okay. I was fine with it. I got fun with it.
So, okay, let me just break it down here, because I know you two have talked, but I have not. So before the accident, before August of 2017, where was your Star Wars fandom? Are you an original trilogy fan? Are you, how did you get into fandom, and what were you doing with fandom before this accident?
Oh, right. Okay, the rise. So I had remember seeing Return of the Jedi in the theater in 1983, and I was already at a place where Star Wars was my favorite thing. For some reason, I had some sort of VHS copy of Star Wars: A New Hope that my little brother and I had memorized off by heart watching it so much. I must have seen Empire, can't remember, and then Jedi in the theater. I went with my mom, my dad, my younger brother. I have an older brother, but he wasn't there. And I remember crying when Yoda died. And I remember three things. The second thing was I remember when Luke did the flip and the high five to R2, and he was just so calm, collected, and badass. And the Sarlacc pit, I was like, that's what I want to be when I grow up.
You want to be a Sarlacc pit?
No. I ended up, it's funny, when I started playing live at a young age, I started wearing all black on stage because I wanted to feel like Return of the Jedi Luke.
Boy, you and I are so alike.
Yeah, Star Wars has been affecting my fashion sense since I was. Yeah, I could talk about that forever. Okay, and then the third thing was, yeah, I do love your droids, your R2 blazer, by the way, and you did say you were going to give that to me if I visited LA, so I will hold you to it, even if you were just joking.
But that deal leaves the table at midnight tonight.
I won't hold you to that. Okay, and the third thing was when Luke and Vader saved each other, I sort of had this feeling about my own dad at that moment, which made sense as I got older. You know, parents save their kids and kids save their parents. Mm-hmm. There's nothing I've loved more in terms of art and pop culture and entertainment since then. And then I became, I got involved in fandom through listening to podcasts and all that.
Well, I'm glad you are in fandom once again, because just having talked to you just socially, you're such a positive influence on fandom, and you're just so full of energy, and I can't wait to collaborate with you at some point in the hopefully near future. Now, for those who need a refresher on your band, tell the Skywalkers out there about F-105.
Okay, F-105 is Alex on drums, Mark on guitar, and the Finnish Kantala instrument. Mark and I are both half Finnish, and we've been exploring that. So that'll be on half the songs on the record that's going to be out in the summer. And the three of us also played in the Souls, though the Souls was sort of mostly my own group. I had in and out members over a 15-year period, and we made 5 albums. And then when we were on our last Souls tour in the summer of 2016, that we wanted to maybe start a new project. I had also felt like with the last record, Sand in the Sun, that I accomplished the sound that was in my head since about 13 or 14 years old. Kind of had an idea in mind for an album based on some of my influences, and I wasn't able to accomplish it until the 5th Souls album, which was Sand in the Sun.
Nice. So the Kantala, you mentioned this is a Finnish instrument. Is it a reed instrument? Is it brass, or string? What kind of instrument is it?
It's a stringed instrument, and it's usually 4 strings. It sounds mystical, and it's very Finnish. And Finnish culture is interesting from an artistic perspective in that Tolkien loved its recently, at the time when he was, writing Lord of the Rings, the Finnish myth was for the first time recently published into written form. And he wrote it into something called the Kalevala, which is Finnish for Land of Heroes. And Tolkien found that when he was in the trenches in World War I, and he was blown away by it because he loved all things myth, but he loved the tone of it, which became a huge influence on Lord of the Rings. He also said it was the most untouched, maybe modern myth because they had just for the first time put it into writing, so it hadn't gone through hundreds and hundreds of years of edits.
Wow.
So there's something raw about it and visceral, and Tolkien loved that. And so he put the tone into Lord of the Rings, and to make a long story short, he based a lot of the Elvish language on Old Finnish, and New Elvish was on Welsh. They were similar languages.
Yeah, the Cantina theme is my favorite. Wait, I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I heard something different.
Well, awesome. So basically from the Souls, you now created the new band F-105. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and now the first song from your F-105 album was Rebel Girl.
So now your next song is called Desert Planet. So tell us about what desert planet you're referring to and how you came up with the idea for this song.
What desert planet?
Well, it could be one of two.
Yes.
Well, I've always loved the desert, even as a metaphor in spiritual, poetry and writing and the like. And I've always wanted to visit the Middle East or go to Grand Valley, or we have a desert in Canada, a little one in Newfoundland, and that I visited, and I've just always loved the symbolism and the look of it.
So when you're talking about desert, you're not exactly referring to a Star Wars desert planet. You're just referring to desert planet as a metaphor, as something that you're really into.
It's something that I'm really into. I think at the forefront, though, like Rebel Girl, Tolkien was big on the word tone, and I feel like I am too, where I'm writing these songs. Rebel Girl doesn't literally name anything from Star Wars or a character or a place, but it feels like Star Wars. And the words are all metaphors for things happening in Star Wars. Right. So I really want the tone of something that feels Star Wars without having to write, like, as much as I love Weird Al, I don't want to write about
Yoda.
Yeah, or Yoda. I want the songs to feel like when someone puts it on, that they're going into that world that's really making that world a part of their walk, where they're walking, So I would maybe want someone to feel Desert Planet, like when they're on a walk, maybe, or on a beach. So I want Desert Planet to have that tone of that feeling of a desert planet. I also love I love Dune, and all the other uses of desert planets in sci-fi pretty much. And then the metaphor became, what is it like when it's that simple metaphor that's when everything's stripped away, when all you have is the sand, what are you left with? So the lyrics in the chorus, the emptiness, just let it come like a desert planet around the sun. It's kind of that me trying to understand what I need to do to get rid of those unneeded things down to the essentials. And it became a pretty good metaphor for everything I've gone through since August.
Right.
That's great. So it's kind of like you want to create your own thing that's very artistic, that other people can take away their own sense from.
So it's kind of like these songs could be heard in Galaxy's Edge because it has that Star Wars feel, but doesn't exactly have to say Yoda,
right?
Yo.
Right, because I want it to be universal.
Yes.
I love bands like Led Zeppelin, who brought in like Tolkien's mythology, or Rush 2112, who created their own. But when they create characters or use other people's characters, I don't feel like it works the same way in storytelling in sound.
Right.
Like when you do a movie or a book, you feel like you're brought into that movie. When I hear those characters in song, I feel like they're trying to pull those characters into this world, if that makes sense, and I don't know if that works for me. So instead of trying to do that, I just want to make people feel that they're entering the world.
Yeah, and a desert could be a metaphor for something that's either really peaceful and serene or something that's loud and chaotic. Having spent time in certain deserts when we visited the locations for Return of the Jedi and Star Wars, it all depends on your frame of mind. We've sat in the desert and just looked out about the infinite possibilities, but at the same time, all these thoughts are rushing through your head about what happened over here, what happened over there, what could have made this dune right over here. So it all depends, like you were saying earlier, about what you bring into the topic, into the conversation.
And also, Din, have you read the Captain Phasma book?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, you'll get a whole nother sense of what the desert means there.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil it for you.
I had no idea. And so if I come to LA, will you guys take me to the desert?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of them around here.
There's Buttercup Valley, there's Death Valley.
Imperial Dunes.
Yeah. But you know what? You really got to prepare yourself, because it can, like we were saying earlier, either be very peaceful and serene, or it can just be an overwhelming sensation. So Desert Planet is a great title, and I can't wait to hear the finished product.
Because of all the sort of sandstorm imagery from the desert in Star Wars, I guess that influenced the writing of the song for me to use the sandstorm as a metaphor. So in the chorus, the emptiness, just let it come like a desert planet around the sun, hits you with a violent wind. Light comes when we let darkness in.
Just let it come like a desert planet
the violent wind was the metaphor for those realizations that you would get in the desert, and that you would be struck by them. And in the case of the song, it's like how to balance yourself by understanding darkness, either in the world or internally. Maybe on a deeper level, it is similar to a lot of the things that have been going on in Star Wars, especially exploring the theme of the balance of dark and light since the prequels all the way through Clone Wars and Rebels, which I feel is you just have to have knowledge of darkness to be able to choose the light. It's a form of relativity. You don't have free will or choice to choose good or choose light without knowledge of the dark.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm almost picturing you like Jim Morrison from The Doors, just walking in the desert, writing this song.
Okay.
Is that close to reality?
You don't understand how much that makes my day to hear that. So yeah, shouldn't say those things. Give me delusions of grandeur.
Well, having heard your song Rebel Girl, which has a very heavy influence from The Doors, that image of you just popped in my mind. You're walking around these Indian ghosts and writing Desert Planet. You know what? The whole metaphor for Desert Planet almost has a Mortis feel. Would that be fair to assess?
Oh, definitely. And I've been obsessed with this Mortis-y stuff since the episodes first aired, and even really trying to figure out where George Lucas was coming from when he was writing the prequels and expanding what the Force meant.
Not so much a desert, but still has that same metaphorical feeling.
Right, that's exactly what I'm doing. Thank you. Or trying to do. Consciously, and I spend every waking hour really thinking about this stuff and trying to transpose it into music. And even, I don't know if you've seen the blog posts that I like to do on these themes, that's really just my way of trying to work out what is being said in these types of shows, and then how to let that influence my lyric writing, like how to practically do it. So I write essays just to figure out how to use that stuff to write lyrics. And then now I've become posting them because it seems like people like them. So more and more I'm having the courage to share them. Whereas I thought I've been writing them for years, but thought maybe people would think I'm kind of nuts,
I'm getting to understand you a little bit more, Din.
Yeah. Well, I love that art inspires art. And I know in Desert Planet, is there any kind of fun instruments or that you were inspired to use because of this Mortis and Star Wars connection?
No, the instrumentation in this one, no. It's guitar, bass, acoustic, electric guitar, organ, drums. There's a cowbell.
Hey, that's kind of Star Wars based.
Don't go to obvious joke. Don't go to obvious joke. Don't go to obvious joke.
Oh, you're going there.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
The circle is now complete.
I love it.
Now, speaking of Mortis, going back to Rebels, your mind must have been just oozing out of your ears when you saw about the infinite possibilities that Mortis can now bring to the Star Wars universe. So, did that inspire you to write a new song about the alternate lanes of possibility?
The way I read that episode is that is one big metaphor for a pretty common idea in spirituality, which has existed from Taoism to modern spiritual writers. Like, I don't want to name names because I think if you start talking about specific religions or spiritual gurus, you start to maybe alienate other people. But in general, the eternal moment is this idea that's always existed, which is the circle. The circle is wholeness, and it's also the wholeness of the universe, and everything's one, but also the wholeness in yourself, and you're one with that. And also time is whole, beginning, middle, and end. I am the alpha and the omega, or the beginning, middle, and end, and it's all happening all at once. So a lot of modern spiritual writers, biggest ones, are sort of trying to understand how contemporary science and their theories and things that they have proven, like Einstein's theory of relativity and how everything's connected, and that also that there's no such thing as time. So,
I wish.
I'm trying to condense this into the clearest, quickest way, because I feel like the show is a metaphor for that, the eternal moment. Ahsoka even uses the word a moment. Kanan found his moment, and the moment has always existed. And this, since Mortis, right, what I feel like what George started with all this is to just, all these ideas have always been in Star Wars. You know, Yoda in Empire Strikes Back talks to Luke. You know, old friends you will see long gone, or you'll see the future. And this is starting to explain how that practically exists in the universe, I feel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's just really embellishing on it the same ideas in greater detail, or greater, you know, in plot or in visual detail.
Yeah, visual, like a way we can grab on visually.
Right, and all the, you know, the circles, all the portals are circles because that's that symbol in Taoism. It's called Enso, and that's the wholeness that I was talking about earlier. And so I just love it for that. And when it comes to songwriting and art, I guess it just gives me reassurance that if I write about this stuff, which is what I love to write about the most, that people actually like it. There's an audience for it. So maybe if I do it in music too, there'll be an audience.
Well, judging by what we're hearing, I think this is the concept of your next album.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, so each album has had a few songs. I mean, I think Sand in the Sun was almost entirely dealing with these themes too, the Souls record, in one way or another. Maybe half the songs on this record do that, but I do have the desire in me somewhere to do like a real concept album on this stuff one day. So it's funny you mentioned.
Give Kevin Kiner a call.
Yeah, something tells me he wouldn't take my call.
Aww.
You know what? You never know till you try.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
He
right,
likes world
do.
instruments, so talk to him about the cantella.
Right. Okay, noted. Do or do not. There is no try.
Yes, that's what you need to lead with. Yes.
Exactly. Now you have homework.
When are you planning on releasing Desert Planet?
Well, because Richard was, we were talking and he mentioned being on the show and said, "Are you going to do a video?" So I sort of took that as a kind of a call to adventure to come out of this retreat, this long retreat that I've been on, and finally bite the bullet and get this video done for Desert Planet. And we are going to release it on Friday in conjunction with your show.
This coming Friday, which is March 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Our friend, Sheldon Norton is going. I just finished the second cut, and I sort of conceptualized it as a part 2 to Rebel Girl, because these are the 2 songs on the record that are Star Wars-y. So I made them to kind of work together, and Sheldon is going to touch it up.
So now, as heavy as Desert Planet sounds, will your next song be a little bit lighter, or do you have a specific idea in mind?
We are releasing the album, the full album, 9 songs, in June, probably late June, for a festival in Canada, an official one. And I just can't announce the date or what festival it is yet because papers aren't signed. So we're going to time the release of the whole album for that, because this weird coincidence quotes happened where we had an 8-song record, but we had a 9th song almost completed called Courage 2, like 2 as in also. And but we weren't planning for it to be on the record, but it sounded so good, and it really has an emotional depth that I believed was needed for the album. Except as a band, we agreed the album was done. My job in the band forever, I think, has always been the guy that's just trying to get us to do more and to convince everyone to do it. So
that's a good thing.
Richard can relate to that.
Every band and creative endeavor needs someone like that.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we're kindred spirits on that level. And when I applied to this festival, they gave me a questionnaire answering these questions, and then it said, "We have this theme. How would you fit into the theme? Our theme is Courage 2. T-O and then blank space. Courage 2. And I answered how I felt I would. But then I said, that's a really weird coincidence. We have this song I'm trying to convince on the album. Do you want to hear it? Convince the guys to be on the album. Do you want to hear it? And they said, yeah. And they got back to me and said, we love it. We want to make this the theme song of the festival.
Wow.
no.
So then I was able to message my bandmates and convince them, because it's like, oh, you know, big festival, paid gig. They want to use our song as a theme song. You know, and I think the universe is trying to tell us something, maybe that it should be on the album. So yes, thank you, universe. I have now convinced the band to put that on the album.
That's awesome.
So that is going to be the 4th song that we release for when the album comes out in June. So Rebel Girl was first, Desert Planet is second, On Friday with You. 3rd song on the album is called No Man's Land. And it's a slow song, and it's pretty. It's really about stolen land in Canada. I've been involved with First Nations activism for a long time, and Mark, our producer's co-producer / guitar player, cantala player. He's also First Nations, half Finnish.
Wow.
And so this is an important theme to the band. We've always sort of explored this theme, usually one song on each record, about Native stuff in Canada. And No Man's Land really was, you know, the idea that First Nations people don't agree with land ownership. They had no concept of it, actually, before we came. They just didn't have a word or even a philosophy that even understood to own a land.
Right.
So it's just exploring that theme. And then what was really cool was when I was watching Wonder Woman, which I really loved, obviously that scene with No Man's Land. So there's kind of a culture connection.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, makes me cry every time.
Isn't it beautiful? It's so elating, and it made me that sort of joyful cry. Like you're like, yeah, it's like happy cry. Is that what it is for you?
Absolutely, yeah.
You get those slow-mo shots.
So I can't wait to hear your song, No Man's Land.
And I actually spent a month a year ago making that video, which is all drawings. So I'm also a visual artist. So the whole video is drawings telling the story. And so we'll release that 3rd. But then Richard and I, when we were talking, got the idea maybe it'd be fun to do a B video to, you know, Wonder Woman footage, just like a fan edit. So we'll see.
So if people are interested and want to see you live and want to follow where you are, where on social media can they follow you to learn more about where you will be?
And even connect with you.
Yes.
Yeah, so f105music.com, and the O is a 0. It's a number. So f105music.com. And then Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, the handle is at f105music as well.
Perfect.
So now let's roll out by playing some more of Desert Planet.
Thank you.
From one big fan who's going above and beyond the call of fandom to another. Let's check in now with Mark Newbold from FanthaTracks and hear about his excursion to the Hoth filming locations in Norway.
On location in Norway, Irvin Kershner, the director, had to shoot live action very carefully so it could be integrated with special effects material shot later. Our snow monster, the Wampa, was actually an actor dressed in this costume. girl. Hey, what's the matter? You smell something? For the climactic battle scene shot on location in Norway, we used a mountain rescue team as rebel soldiers.
Started now. Yeah. The attackers are coming from over there, and you're shooting at them. The Empire is coming from that direction, which are 40-foot giants. You can't see them if we map them on. Here we go then. Action!
There is a magical feeling you get when visiting a filming location, whether it's for a Star Wars film or any film that's really personal to you. Well, just a few weeks ago, our good friend Mark Newbold from FanthaTracks got to go to the ice planet Hoth filming locations from The Empire Strikes Back.
Ugh, so jealous. Mark is here with us now to share stories about walking in Luke Skywalker's footsteps, sleeping inside of tauntauns, and hanging out...
Or upside down.
With a wampa.
Hey, Mark!
How you doing?
We are doing good and ready to hear all about your story, because this is one of the locations I've always wanted to visit.
And me too.
But did we get that part right, or are we making this up? Did you get to sleep inside of a tauntaun?
Or hang out with wampas?
Can't officially confirm either, but yes to both.
Oh, okay. Whether it was real or in your head, you did it?
To me, they're both the same. If in my head, real life, it's all good.
Do they have creatures like tauntauns up there?
Yeah, they're called dogs.
Yeah, I was going to say the Norwegians are very, very friendly people, but no, they're not quite like wampas. But yeah, when you're looking out the back of the hotel, which is a lake in the summer, it freezes over for about 9 months of the year. You could imagine a wampa sort of walking from the mountains towards you. You could kind of envisage that. So I didn't meet any personally. I'm not saying they weren't there, but yeah.
Oh.
You didn't cut the arm off of any Norwegian thinking it was a wampa, did you?
Well, they've told me I'm not welcome back, so maybe I did, but I can't say.
You know what? We don't want to be an accomplice, so let's just forge ahead. Now, when visiting Star Wars filming locations, for us, it's always been a huge thrill knowing that where you're standing is right where the magic happened. And Finse, Norway, that doubled as Hoth, it's not as easy to get to as most locations. So tell us all about your big Hoth trip. We want to hear everything.
All the gory details. Okay, so we decided, we being FanthaTracks and myself, Brian, Matt went, and Richard. So there was 4 of us from FanthaTracks, and James Floyd was along as well from Club Jade and Big Shiny Robot and StarWars.com. So James was with us as well. Decided to, well, it all started on a Facebook group called Visit Hoth. So or last trip to Hoth, I think the Facebook page was called, and we just started throwing ideas around about doing it. And we realised that it was something that was achievable, wasn't crazy money, didn't cost the earth. And we decided to go. It was about 3.5 days all told. We got there on the Thursday, left on the Sunday. And so myself and Matt flew from Gatwick, which is London, the South London airport. Bit of a drive for me, bit of a drive for him, but it was a good price and everything worked out well. And flew into Bergen in Norway and hopped on the train at Bergen for about, I think it was about a 3-hour train ride. And it's quite strange. I've never been to Norway before, and it's for me really as it's pretty much in the nearest country apart from France and Southern Ireland. And you start off and it's cold. Obviously, you get off the train and you can feel the cold. It's sort of 0 -1 sort of temperature. It's cold, not terrible, but you know you're in the sort of a cooler climate. But then as the train's working its way through, the snow gets thicker and thicker. You suddenly don't see lakes anymore. You see ice rinks. You know, it's so strange watching it. Of course, we're all sitting there talking because we're excited about what's to come. But looking out the window, it really, really was quite marked, the difference as you were traveling, to the point that it got darker as we traveled, and then the snow got more pronounced. So when we actually arrived at Finse at the hotel, we got off the train and it was like the snow was going sideways. So yeah, it was quite a challenge getting off the train. But yeah, you definitely knew you were at Hoth. You knew you were there. There's no doubt about it.
So in Norway, you're traveling north, obviously, as you're talking.
Yes.
How far north is Finse in Norway?
That's a very good question. I would say because when we looked at the map, as we flew back, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. But when we flew back from a different airport. So we did a connecting flight, and a couple of the guys, the R2 builders who were there as well, were traveling by car, and they said it would take them 5 hours by car. For us on the plane, it was about, 40 minutes. It was a tiny flight. But when you looked at the map, it was like the Everglades. It was all like separate little islands almost. So to drive, it was the most circuitous route. So it's difficult to say how far in miles it would be, but certainly the train was winding us around and working our way up. It certainly wasn't a straight line. I would guess in my head, it was probably, maybe 120, 130 miles, maybe more. But yeah, it certainly wasn't. There was no straight lines. Let's put it that way. You were working your way around lakes, you were working your way around mountains, and the scenery, as you can imagine, was just insane. It was fantastic.
Now, this is an event that is put on every year, correct? By a couple of groups, Visit Hoth Group and Finse 1222 Hotel?
That's right. It's only the second official time they've done this. I thought that this had been going on for years and years and years, and fans have been going there for quite a while, but it was only actually the second sort of properly officially put together Visit Hoth, as it was called, event. So we were very lucky to get in pretty much on the ground floor. Again, we'll talk about it at length, but couldn't recommend it enough because the people were fantastic and the location obviously is insane. It's just insane.
So when you say official, it's not a Lucasfilm officially sanctioned group. It's just an official organization that puts this group together and goes off to Hoth.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think Lucasfilm were aware of it, but they're very clever, cautious. We live in litigious times, don't we? Yes. They very much trade on the fact that the film was made there, that the crew were local. An awful lot of the crew were local. And so it's more of as an event, it's more about highlighting the location, i.e., the hotel itself, the lake at the back, the glacier. Which I am not even going to attempt to butcher the Norwegian language and pronounce the name of the glacier.
I wrote it down and I'm not about to try to pronounce it either.
Exactly. I'm quite pleased with how FanthaTracks is growing. I don't want to alienate our Norwegian fans. But yeah, no, it was really well put together. And like I say, it was all about, to me anyway, the way it came across was we're all honouring Empire. Obviously, that is completely the focus, and Hoth specifically, obviously. But it was very much about the practicalities of filming there. The camaraderie of the crew. You learned an awful lot about how the primary players interacted with the local cast and crew, and with the major production crew people as well. So it was really interesting from that point of view. But yeah, I'm certain Lucasfilm were aware of it. It is something they should encourage. I've got to say that.
Yeah, this is money on the table for Disney and Lucasfilm to have an official group to visit these Star Wars filming locations. Why have they not jumped on this?
Well, I think what it is, I mean, Lucasfilm is so focused on new and what's coming that I think they need like another arm of Lucasfilm to be put in place that is focused on the past and these cool events and like these location scouting and all this stuff.
Fine, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Right, Richard? No, they really...
Someone has to.
Yeah.
That is such an astute observation. I couldn't agree more. I really think that, because Star Wars has been around for 40 years, you always think of Star Wars as new compared to Star Trek, which has been around for 50 years. Mm-hmm. There's not that much difference between the two. And the thing about Trek that they get right is that they kind of honour the past. Yes. Whereas you sometimes feel like Star Wars is only looking forward, and kind of everything is in the rearview mirror. But you're absolutely right. There should be some element of the organisation that really does archive what happened in the past, and that's what this does. It's very detailed in. I'll give you an example. There was a talk on I think it was on the Saturday morning. Martin Dahl, a Scandinavian collector and writer, did a talk about the the filming of the movie, and he has an image, and there's 90 crew on the image, and he's gone back, sort of Tim Vickoven style, and worked out who all these guys are. And I think he's missing 5 people. And the 5 people are, a couple might have passed away, or it was, Jurgen's brother who was in town that day, sort of thing. That kind of random connection thing. Because they just needed all the bodies they could get to lug the stuff up to the glacier to film things.
And I'm sure there were day players too.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But it's that, I know you guys get this as well. It's that archiving of all the old stuff that happened. It was the same when they were filming in Tunisia, you know, a lot of the local guys that were helping, you know, with the donkeys getting all the stuff up to the top of the, you know, where they were filming on the ridge and that, you know, and not everything was written down. And it's an absolute treat to meet people who are just as interested, more knowledgeable, way more than I'll ever be, and into it, you know. But because it was local, because it was Finse, you know, it's like filming in your local village or town, you know, that's what it was to them. So it's fascinating.
How many of you were there for this gathering?
From Fantha, there was 4 of us.
But altogether,
I would say, maybe around about 45, 50.
Wow.
So it was a good number. It was a good number. And it's the sort of event that will only ever grow. I mean, the building itself had seen some alterations since back in the day, but you know, they pointed out where there was a slide came up on the screen during one of the talks, and they told you what room numbers certain people stayed in, and somebody stayed in our room whose surname was Williams. Obviously not John Williams, because why would John Williams be in Finse? But Treat Williams, Carrie Fisher's friend, was there, and we think, we don't know, because one of the guys said that they wondered whether or not some of the room numbers had actually changed around, so it's even more difficult to figure out what room was where. But we just figured that we think Treat Williams was in our room. We think Carrie would have come in there for, you know, a drink one night and a bit of a chat, you know. So we were just goofing off, thinking, well, maybe she was in this room.
Family show alert! Family show alert!
Exactly, yeah. But you know, but all the way around the building, you were seeing these things and thinking of that. They showed Empire the night we got there in a room downstairs, which was where the one of the production office was. And you know, there's pictures in the slides all around the building. They've got screens and pictures on the walls and such. And you realise that this room we were watching Empire in was where all of the, you know, Kirsch would have been there, and Kurtz would have been there, and Robert Watson, all those guys would have been there working these things. That was just fascinating. The place just reeked of Empire. It was fantastic.
Wow. Richard, how come we didn't go to this?
I don't know. I don't know, but you know what? Next year, it'll be a whole different answer.
I know. So which locations did you specifically see then?
Well, I'll tell you, we did on the Saturday, we did a husky ride. Well, they say husky. I'm not familiar. I'm not a dog person, right? To my mind, all dogs are the size of the direwolves from Game of Thrones. So these little sort of husky things that didn't seem much higher than, didn't come up to my knee. And I'm pretty.
Well, you're tall.
A fairly big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking in my head, I've never done this before. I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to be sitting down in a sled. There'll be some fella behind me who knows what he's doing, and about 8 dogs. And I'll just lie there watching it all go past. Oh, no. So we walk down to the back of the hotel. There's all these dogs jumping around, making the most weird noises I've ever heard come out of the muzzle of a dog. And they put 4 dogs on my sled, and there's a lady in front, and I'm standing on the back. So I'm steering. They didn't give me any more instruction than that. Off we go. So the first guy goes off, and then there's a guy on a snowcat. He follows behind, and there's about 6 of us. All, James is on one, and Gonzalo, a friend of mine from Spain, was on another, and some of the Fantha guys were there as well. And all off we go. My dogs just want to go. They know where they're going. So we're overtaking. And I'm looking like comedy style, looking behind me. Like, I don't know what the dog's driving. I'm not driving. And we catch up with the front guy, and he turns around. No overtaking. Nobody told me not to overtake. So when you're stood on the sled, there's obviously the back of the sled. There's the 2 wooden beams that you stand on. There's like a brake in the middle, which is like silver, and a black pad to slow the dogs down. So I kept touching the black pad to slow the dogs down. Then we get to a hill, like an incline. So the guy says, "You've got to push." So so it's knee deep for me. It's knee deep. Of course, I'm a bit heavier than a lot of the other fellas, so I'm going I'm practically waist deep in the snow, pushing, getting the dogs up. And of course, as we get over the edge to the top, and this is heading down to the glacier where the shooting locations were, the dogs just go for it, and I've got to slow these dogs down. So I keep stepping on the brake to ease it down, and the third time I tried to slow it down, the back end of the sled just kicked out, and I went about 15 foot the other way. But the snow was thick, so I binned off. The dogs think this is wonderful. The dogs feel like they've just had an elephant dropped off the back, so they just go a million miles an hour. I'm left behind in the snow. All the other guys go past grinning. thinking it's hilarious. I didn't tell you this. I know nobody listens to the show, do they? This is privileged information. I'm just telling you guys.
Yeah, we're not even recording this.
You're not even recording. Okay, I can tell you that now. I split my trousers, so I spend the rest of the time sort of walking around like I've wet myself. And it's 10. So that was fun. And then I get picked up like the snow cat or the ski sled or whatever it was, and the guy says, "Do you want a lift?" Yeah, I'll have a lift. So we go all the way down. So to answer your question, the shooting location that we went to was, they call it Han Rock. So it's where Han leans on the rock, Chewie's on the other side, and they shoot the probot.
Yeah.
And we've got pictures of all of us individually leaning on the rock, doing the hand pose when he shoots the probot. So that was one location. There's Chewie Rock, which is about 20 foot the other way, which is where you see Chewie stick his head up when he's sort of attracting the probot's attention. And then just to the, I would say, to the east of that is the glacier where they dug out all the trenches and they filmed all of the actual Hoth battle in the snow. And it's all there. It was just insane.
So how close are these locations? Because I know in the desert, if you turn the camera 13 degrees one way, that's another location. Turn it the other way, another 12 degrees, it's a whole new location, just so they wouldn't have to do a company move all these great distances.
That's a good point. It was kind of like that. I mean, like I say, we didn't realise until we were at Han Rock for about half an hour, all taking pictures. A lot of the guys took a lot of their vintage Hoth toys with them, so setting stuff up in the snow. So we've got loads of pictures on the site of the AT-ATs and stuff set up in the snow. Booker being Booker had to take an AT-AT with him, didn't he? And a lot of the other guys took stuff and speeders and such. And but yeah, you look that way and there's the probot scene with Han and Chewie, and then you turn, like I say, just do a 45-degree turn to your right, and there's the snowfield where they shot the battle. But we didn't realise that until we were just about to go, and somebody went, "Oh, by the way, over there, that's the plane where they filmed. That's where they dug out the trenches." And you just looked, and there it was. And actually, on the evening, James Floyd and Richard Hutchinson from Fantha actually went out and walked back to the location. So it probably took us 20 minutes on the sled, maybe not that long, maybe 15, but they walked it. And by the time they got up there and took the picture, it was actually getting dark. And then they walked all the way back and just got back in time for the meal. But they said, yeah, they got some phenomenal photographs from up there. So
they didn't take you over to that location? They just said, oh, by the way, that's where that big giant plot point battle happened.
Yeah. Exactly. It was because the guys that ran Hoth the event were separate from the guys that took you out on the Huskies. The Husky guys were a company that did Husky rides, but they knew where we wanted to go. But when we were there, because we had quite a group of us, I would say there was probably 20 of us in total on all the dogs. One of the guys said, well, that's where it is. And then we all sort of turned and looked, and there it was, I mean, like any event, there's always ways to improve and tweak things and make things better. And, there's obviously room for that. But just to be there, the air was so crisp. And the snow, you couldn't make snowballs. The snow was so dry because you were at altitude. Because the hotel we stayed in was called Finse 1222, which is 1,222 meters above sea level. That's the altitude. So the snow's very dry. The air's very crisp and clear. The sky, I've never seen a sky look so blue. It was the most strange place to be. But you knew you were on Hoth. I mean, it was no doubt you could have been parachuted there blindfolded. Took the blindfold off and go, I know where I am.
Wow.
So I'm guessing then that they had filled in the trenches that the rebel troops had fought in. That's depressing.
Well, yeah, exactly. When they actually filmed there and then, when they arrived, they filmed in, what time of year did they film? It was sort of fairly early in the year. It wasn't crazy crazy weather. They weren't expecting ridiculously bad weather. And when they arrived, it was the worst snowstorm they'd had for 100 years. So hence every morning they'd go out to the trenches, and the snow had drifted and filled the trenches in. So they had to dig the trenches out every morning to carry on shooting. It was that kind of weather. And to the point that one of the other locations that we managed to get to, which sounds ridiculous, was all around the hotel itself. Yes. You would be flabbergasted, absolutely amazed at how many shots in Empire were filmed from the back door of the hotel.
Right.
Just crazy. Yeah, they did a walking tour around the hotel on the Sunday morning. The scene where Han opens up the Tauntaun with his lightsaber was literally shot about 10 foot from the back of the hotel, where Luke falls down the bridge.
Which makes sense because it was it was so cold that the cameras were freezing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone said, what if we shot 10 feet behind us inside of the warm hotel, drinking cocoa and watching Mark and Harrison run around the snow and let them deal with it?
Exactly, and it was such a smart thing to do. It was. We had one of the assistant cameramen was there, Greg Dupre, and he was talking about how he would go down into the sort of bowels of the building and strip the camera right down and do all the things that he needed to do to keep that camera working and keep it moving and keep it going. And he said exactly the same as you've just said. You know, they would open the doors and think, why are we risking ourselves, because it was that bad, why are we risking ourselves traveling all that way up the glacier when all you can see out the back window is just white? Why not just shoot it here? And they just did it on the spot decision. Let's just film it at the back. And this photograph, actually, one of the maids, and this was the most fortuitous photograph ever, one of the maids took a photograph out of the window as they were shooting the scene, so we could actually figure out where in the back and of course it was 10 foot of snow when we were there, but you could figure out where they'd actually set the Tauntaun up and where they'd set all the scenes up. It was literally right there. Just fantastic.
Oh, wow. Okay, so the scene where Han saves Luke was shot right up there. And when Luke was climbing out of the hole from the Wampa cave, that was
right there?
Right outside the hotel too, right?
Yep, it was, because the way the building is, it's if you imagine a wall and then a 90-degree turn on the wall, so it's just a corner, like an L-shaped corner of the building. The snow would drift up to that point, so for Mark to be at the top of this snow drift and just roll down, easy, you know. And like I say, why travel all that distance when you can shoot it out the back door?
Very smart. Yeah, and I think I've seen a picture of that shot where Mark Hamill rolls down that snowdrift, and didn't he like roll right inside the hotel? It was that close.
Oh yeah. It was laughable how close it was. It really was. If the camera had have turned sort of, you know, from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you'd have seen all the crew. Obviously, you see that in any film, but you would have seen the building right there. It was what they saw when they shot it must have just been an absolute picture. You know, I'd love to see the shot from the reverse angle to see there's the building. It's right there. You could walk it in 10 steps and you'd be touching the wall of the building.
What about when Luke sees Ben Kenobi? Was that also right there?
Ben, you will go to the Dagobah system.
That was also there. Yep. So the vision of Ben. Okay. Yeah, it was seeing Ben slicing the Tauntaun.
Hang on, kid.
Where Luke was dragged by the Wampa, obviously, and and they also shot where Luke drops out of the AT-AT.
Oh.
And lands on the snow. Obviously, they filmed that right out the back as well, a bit further away from the hotel than that. They kind of dropped a stuntman down onto a crash mat, but of course the wind was so bad that he nearly missed the crash mat. So there was all these mayhem and mishaps that nearly happened that they kind of just dodged a lot of disaster. So, but it was all there. It was right there, and like I say, all the crew were Norwegian, most of them. So you know they're all local fellas, and it's kind of become local folklore.
Yeah.
I've also heard a story about that shot where it's an overhead shot in The Empire Strikes Back, and Luke is escaping from the Wampa, and you see him trying to trudge his way through the snow, that they had to keep sending someone out there to go get Mark Hamill because he would turn around and it would just be a white wall and he wouldn't know where he was.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get turned around.
Yeah, because the weather was so bad, because they had this crazy, crazy storm that they just didn't anticipate. They knew it. They wanted it cold. They wanted it brisk, and they knew it would be freezing, but they didn't expect this. And so it's a bit like when they filmed Phantom Menace and they had the worst sandstorm in 30 years, and you know, and they said it was a good omen because it happened on the original Star Wars, and the sets got blown away. You know, never realised that the same thing had happened to Empire. You know, that it was that level of awful weather, and so they saved themselves a ton of time and a ton of money. And another thing that was interesting as well was the amount of shots that you would think, for example, up on the glacier when Han and Luke are found by, is it Zev that finds them?
Yeah.
The Snow Speeder pilot? It's Rogue 2, isn't it?
This is Rogue 2. I found them. Repeat, I found them.
He flies over and Luke and Han waves and walks back towards the camera. That's not Harrison Ford.
No.
It was a local Norwegian guy. So there's quite a few shots like that where you think it's Han or you think it's Luke. It's actually somebody else.
Yeah, I've always known that wasn't Harrison Ford just by the way he walks. That's not a Harrison walk.
Yeah.
You're funny.
Now, who were the guests that were brought in for the event?
So the guests from the film was it was Greg Dupre, who was one of the cameramen, a local fella, Christian Berham, who was one of the, he was like a producer, like a unit producer on location producer. So he knew all the Norwegian crew. He was the liaison really between Lucasfilm crew and the local crew. And then Alan Tompkins, who was one of the production designers, so he designed the snowspeeder. So if you've ever read The Art of Empire Strikes Back, the original one from back in the day, there's a technical drawing of the snowspeeder, and that was Alan's work. So he worked on that, and he did a talk on the Saturday night. Bearing in mind he's 79, and he's worked on all sorts of stuff. He worked on Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan, Batman Begins. He's still working now. He did a bit of work on Dunkirk very recently, so he's still doing his thing. And he gave us this just absolutely fascinating talk about his time on Empire. Talked about his career for about half an hour, and the crowd were getting restless, which was quite funny.
Talk about Star Wars.
Exactly, that actually happened, and he just smiled. He knew exactly what he was doing. But for a fella of his age, and his recollection was just pin sharp, So he was just telling us all these stories about working on the film, and so they were the guests, and they were all fascinating. And another thing about Visit Hoth as an event is you're just mixing it up with these guests. They're just there, just walking around. So you have a chat with them at the bar, or have a chat with them over dinner or whatever. They were just there, And it was great because obviously we're all fans, and we're into our various elements of Star Wars, and you get to meet the Norwegian guys who are just as into it as we are.
Oh, that's cool.
How was their English?
Better than mine. For the most part.
I've noticed that in Europe. Like, everyone has to know English, or a lot of people grow up with having to take like 5 years of English or something.
Well, I don't want to sound selfish, but thank goodness.
Yeah.
I've tried other languages and they just don't stick.
It's true.
Did you learn anything that you hadn't already known about the making of The Empire Strikes Back?
Lots of little things. It was little elements. So I knew the broad strokes, of the filming of Hoth, but just, there was the one guy, and I can't remember the fella's name, but when they filmed on the evenings, they'd get into the bar in this big sort of log cabin style building, and have a few beers and just wind the day down. And so it was a very sociable crew. So you learnt that Greg, who was the camera guy, got quite pally with Mark Hamill. And Mark liked to mix it up with people and catch up with folks. Harrison, by a different tone, was a bit more reserved. But then once he'd had a few beers, he'd be very chatty, and he would get on more with the technical guys. Because Harrison likes to know all the technical stuff, and he'll chat with the chippies and the carpenters and those kind of guys. Carrie was there, which is very interesting because she didn't actually film any scenes in Hoth.
Right.
She didn't. All of her stuff shot at Elstree, so why she was there we don't know. But Alan didn't know, and Christian, who was the production guy, didn't really know why she was there. But she just wanted to be part of the production. She just wanted to be there, wanted to soak it up. And then when they arrived in Norway, Carrie and Mark did a photo shoot, which you'll have seen pictures of.
Yeah.
And they were all around the hotel, So she just wanted to be part of the fun, really.
Oh, sure. Hey, the boys are going to Norway? I want to go to Norway.
Yeah, right?
Who wouldn't?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus those did make great publicity shots of the three of them with Luke and the Tauntaun.
Mm-hmm.
Priceless.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know you said that some of the fans had brought the Hoth toys. Now, how many people came in costume?
The Norwegian garrison, the Nordic garrison, had people there. So there was, every time a train went past, just to put it into perspective, the train line that Finse is a stop on goes way north. So it just goes on and on and on. But you only have a couple of 3 trains a day. So when the trains would come to Finse, sometimes the train would be pulled up and gone in a minute or two when people got off. They have one train comes each week that they get the forklifts to pull all the food off because it's so isolated. They just have one delivery of food a week. So, but when the Nordic garrison were there, most of them are snowtroopers. There was a couple of Juno eclipses, which is kind of cool.
Wait, what are those?
From The Force Unleashed.
Exactly. But you'd have all these people going past and waving. And of course, you got snowtroopers all stood there waving at the kids on the train. So that was absolutely fascinating. But in terms of costume, people who were visiting wearing costumes, not that many, but there was quite a few people. My friend Gonzalo from Spain, kind of fashioned his own sort of Han Solo Hoth jacket with all the badges and stuff on. So people kind of looked in character. And it just worked really, really well. But you really have got to wrap up really warm. Don't split your trousers. That makes it cold in places you don't want to get cold. But it was fantastic having the garrison there, and also Simon Wilkie, who's the in the states. Chris Bartlett obviously is the guy that's known for doing 3PO in UK and Europe. It's Simon. So Simon was there, and the R2 builders had sent a droid out there and R2 out there. So everything was, it just felt so authentic, and we got as many photo ops as we could outside, just goofing around. And I've got to say, our own Brian Cameron, who's known for dressing up as Director Krennic quite wonderfully, took an inflatable Tauntaun with him.
Oh, that was him.
It was him. So there's pictures of Brian and Matt, and I think James. I declined. I'd already ripped a pair of trousers. I didn't want to rip a Tauntaun. So, but yes, we did kind of get into a Tauntaun if you want to look at it from that point of view.
All right, next year, Sarah, when we go, everyone has got to bring their inflatable Tauntaun. We could have Tauntaun races.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that would
work really well. That would work well on the train platform, because it's quite a long platform, so you could do that.
you could do like joust with Tauntauns or something, like run into each other. All right. So besides splitting trousers, Mark, what was your highlight of the event?
That was not a highlight. I can't believe it. I don't know. I think as always with these kind of events, when you go anywhere on a trip or you do anything that's fun, it's just it's in short, it's just having a fun time with friends. Mm-hmm. So it's just doing that experience with your mates and sort of taking it all in. But if I had to pick a moment that just made me go, wow, I can't believe I'm here, it was coming back on the sled, the motorized sled, because the Huskies didn't like me. So on the motorized sled, and we weren't going that fast, but the wind was blowing at us and my eyes were streaming. But I looked to my left, and I could have just framed it straight out the film. It was just looking at a mountain range with the snow and everything, and it wasn't quiet because obviously the speed of the sled, the noise of the sled, but it just looked across and I was like, wow, that's Hoth.
Aww.
And just looked at Brian. Me and Brian were in the back. We just looked at each other and smiled and nodded. Like, we're here. We're actually here. And given that Empire's my favourite film of all films, I couldn't have ever dreamed of being in that place. So I'm so pleased that the guys from Visit Hoth do it and made us so welcome. And again, we've all said we're going to go back in a couple of years. Definitely going to go back. I'm just pleased that we did it.
Wow.
So it was wonderful.
And you were saying that at every location they would let people take pictures to recreate the scenes from The Empire Strikes Back, like at Han Rock. Did anyone come as Chewbacca just to get that Wookiee in the background?
Well, we've got Booker, who's got a beard that looks he's half Wookiee anyway, I think.
That's true.
So he could have done. We could have let him loose in the snowfields, and somebody would have shot him with a tranquilizer gun, I think. But, so we've kind of got our own Wookiee on the team anyway. I hope he doesn't hear this. But yeah, that would be fantastic if they did get somebody in a Wookiee costume. That would be something very special to get out there. I don't doubt this. Like I said earlier, this event's only going to get bigger, and the people that put it on know their stuff. They're always researching as well. So I've got no doubt when we go again. We've already said we want to go in a couple of 3 years. When we go again, there'll be new information. It won't be the same stuff. It'll be a different experience. Mm-hmm. But yeah, get a Wookiee out there. That's a good idea.
All right, so we're going to coordinate a trip with skywalking through Neverland and FanthaTracks and get out there and just have some fun with this, because I am so excited for filming locations, especially Hoth.
Yeah, we'll go to Hoth, right? Uh-huh. Then we're going to take a nice river cruise down the Danube River into, Austria, and then get to Italy, where we're going to go visit Naboo.
Okay. You know what? Done.
That's all, yeah.
Lucasfilm Disney, why are you not doing this? This is money on the table. Mm-hmm. But speaking of money, if you don't mind us asking, what was the general cost for all of this?
Just so people can plan.
And if you can break it down to American dollars.
That's a good. Oh, blimey, converting. Let's see what we can do. So for me, for the flight from the UK, it worked out about £160, which is, I would say, about $200 from the UK. Obviously, flying from Gatwick. The train was £50. That's about, I'd say, about $70. The hotel worked out at about £400. Now, bearing in mind, we were there 3 days. which seems like a lot for 3 days, but that was the tickets for the event. That was breakfast, an evening meal, and you could make up your own food in the day, because most people will go out skiing or out out somewhere.
Okay.
A lot of the time we would stay in, we'd chatting or catching up or doing whatever, talking to other people. So we would stay around the hotel, which was again fantastic. So all of that was in. So it was very, very. I'd say altogether £700. So probably say $800 or $900. Obviously, you've got to get to either fly direct to Oslo or Bergen or fly to the UK and do it that way. But it's not crazy money. I was surprised. Although I've got to say, the cost. I like the odd beer. A lot of lads do. So we thought, well, let's have a couple of beers. So we bought a beer, and it was £10, which is about $12 or $13 for a pint. Yeah. It was expensive. A Kit Kat was like $2.50 sort of thing. It was expensive. So if you're not hungry, it's a great place to go.
Okay. And then Norway is on the European currency?
Well, we only used our cards. We didn't actually use cash.
Okay.
I didn't even look into that. I honestly don't know. I don't think in the euro. That would have been fun. I don't think they're in the euro. I think they're still stuck with their own currency. I should know that. That's terrible. But I think they are with their own money.
Okay.
Now, they should try to coincide this gathering with the actual start date of the filming for The Empire Strikes Back, which is in March.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing. So next year is the 40th anniversary of filming, and obviously the following year is the 40th anniversary of the film. I can't believe Empire's 40 years old now. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so next year they're already saying, well, that's going to be a big year, and they're trying to figure out what guests they're going to get over, who they want to get. I mean, obviously, ultimately, they'd want to get Hamill over. How amazing would that be? But
Mark is like, no, I don't want to go back.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that as they're talking about the filming of it and showing you all these slides and stuff that certain pictures they're happy for you to take snaps of and share, but certain pictures in the slideshows they're like, can you not share these? We want to keep these special for the talks, And you saw some just marvelous pictures and so many cool stories. Like I say, Mark and his stunt double, he had like a double for like standing long shots, that they just kind of found. This young kid and him and Hamill got on really well, but apparently him and Harrison Ford used to get on famously as well, and just all these cool little stories, and it was just all so natural and matter of fact, and you're listening thinking this is the most legendary film ever made, and you're hearing all these amazing stories. It was brilliant.
Wow, good,
awesome.
So yeah, we'll be getting out there. So it'll be more fun to do it with people like yourselves and who we have a big close knit group.
Yeah. It's definitely a sort of event. If you could get a few, good, like say, friends like us and a few other groups, people from certain, areas and that, you could make an absolutely amazing trip. And like I say, the hotel was lovely. The food was really nice. It was always warm. You were never cold. You're walking around in t-shirts because it was so warm inside, but outside it's like -10 or whatever, It's just magical. You open your window in the morning and, just look outside at the mountains at the front. We looked out onto the front where you saw the trains come in. Just everything about it was easy. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
Now, being the big collector that you are, Mark, how much snow did you take home as a souvenir?
Well, they always tell you don't eat the yellow snow. There's a story here. So the Huskies obviously, dogs being dogs. Don't worry, it's got a happy ending. What we said we would do, and we didn't, was take a little jar and just scoop some lovely snow and take it back, and like you'd take a bit of sand back from Tatooine or wherever, a bit of a tree from Endor or whatever. Take a bit of snow. It's not going to stay snow unless you stick it in your freezer, but at least it's a bit of water from Hoth, and that was the logic. So Brian was the only one, because Brian's very well organised, that thought, right, and he got a little jar with a screw top, and just as we were on the train platform, bearing in mind, like every direction you look, it's white, it's snow everywhere. He scoops down where he's standing, and he's scooping up this little jar, and I'm going, dude, that's yellow. Don't put that in. And he's pushing it into his little jar. Yeah, yellow snow. I mean, really? So anyway, yeah, Brian has got some snow from Hoth that I wouldn't want to turn into an ice cube.
Now, wait a minute. You're in Norway, billions and billions of pounds of snow, and he scoops the yellow snow.
He scooped the yellow snow. We stood and watched him do it.
Wow.
Of all the snow to choose from, why would he go for the yellow snow?
He must be colourblind or something. Or maybe gone snowblind. Could be that. Could be that. But yeah, really, he had to. It was like he was aiming for. It was like, "What are you going for that? What are you doing?" But anyway, never try and argue with Scotsman. Just let him get on with it.
I gotta talk to that man. All right. Now, Mark, if anyone wants to contact you on social media and ask about your trip, or just to say hello, or to ask you about FanthaTracks, where would they go?
Well, if you want to just talk to me and throw insults my way, which happens a lot, you can go on Twitter is the best place. It's prefect_timing, not perfect, but prefect as in Ford prefect, prefect_timing on Twitter. But I spend most of my time on the FanthaTracks Twitter feed. So it's at FanthaTracks. You can email me at mark@FanthaTracks.com. But please visit the site. It's growing steadily. People seem to like it. So, come and visit us at FanthaTracks and see what's going on. We're really going for it at the moment because there's so much news out there at the moment. It's ridiculous. So it's all good fun. But, yeah, always like to talk to people.
Awesome.
All right, great. And, well, there's only one way to wrap this up. Hashtag leave the yellow snow at
behind.
Hoth.
Yes. Oh.
And there you go.
Well, that wraps up episode 206 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We would like to thank Din, the lead singer of F105. Check out the premiere of their music video to Desert Planet this Friday, March 16th.
We also want to thank Mark Newbold, who is watching us right now on YouTube, from FanthaTracks for sharing his Hoth stories with us. And we'd like to thank liningup.net for organizing the unofficial line down in Hollywood to see Mark Hamill.
And, of course, all of you Skywalkers who watch live and listen every single week, and those new Skywalkers who are tuning in and stayed this long to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Josh Schaefer just joined us at the end. Hey,
yeah.
Josh.
But you didn't miss it. We still got time to go. And once again, a reminder to our YouTube channel. If you want to go subscribe and you haven't yet, we want you to go to youtube.com/skywalkingthrough-neverland. And just as a little hint, we're going to do some more giveaways. And I think we want to focus a little bit on that YouTube channel. So we will be having some giveaways. So please subscribe. And say hello to our gardener.
Our beef and lawnmower right outside. Really, right outside our window. Right now, during the outro. You couldn't wait 5 minutes? All right, moving right along. And speaking of moving right along, after you're done listening to this show, move right over there to retrozap.com, where you can hear great shows, you can hear porgs, and see awesome articles.
Yeah. And you know what? Those shows
are not about leaf and lawn blowers.
No, but they are about brews and blasters.
Quiet down out there!
Or there's the Deucecast movie show.
Starship Sabers and Scoundrels.
What about Kanata's Castle?
This is when the Novocaine is really kicking in.
And then here, Techno Retro Dads, where there's lawnmowers in space.
And coming next week, we're going to be releasing the next episode of Talking Apes, where we talk with William Conlon about his documentary feature, Making Apes.
You can also find Skywalking Through Neverland at jedinews.co.uk and FanthaTracks.com.
Making Apes on Talking Apes. Just had to say that.
What?
Making
Okay.
Apes on Talking Apes. All right, we're getting giddy. All right,
We
finish
are.
up.
All right, now if you want to talk to us about lawnmowers, about Tinkerbell,
And about
or
coolant.
about Star Wars or coolant, you can reach us all week. We are at Skywalking Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and you can also email us about those things. Share at skywalkingthrough-neverland.com, and also we have our lovely Facebook group where we have everyone who our listeners are getting to know other listeners. It's great. So head to Facebook and search Skywalking Through Neverland group and request to join, and then answer the questions.
Right, now, just as a little aside, we had given Eric Warren some homework last week to write us an iTunes review, and he got right on that, so we'll read that on our next episode, where we break down the DVD, no, not the DVD, the digital stream of The Last Jedi.
Excellent. All right, I look forward to that. Now, you guys better look forward to little bits of conversation that didn't quite make it into the show because those will be after the credits. And this week, they're going to be really fun.
Fun and loopy.
Some bloopers. So, everyone go watch The Last Jedi on digital streaming, and then always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Ogushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 206, The Kooky Show of Skywalking Through Neverland. I'll do that again. All right. Are we ready?
Let's just talk about coolant the whole show. Who's up for a little coolant talk? When was the last time you had a good, healthy discussion about coolant? For me, it's been like, what, a week? And we're due. All right.
I really don't know how to respond to that one.
Any questions about coolant? Call in. 1-800-COOLANT are us. Is us.
I think that's too many numbers.
Yesterday, we had a little mini production on YouTube. Sarah, what was that for? That's right. We had announced the winners for our Last Jedi Voodoo contest.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. I wasn't sure what you were referring to, but now I do.
Okay, we'll start again.
Yes.
All right, with that, we have lots coming up, especially a special edition of Things We Want to Share.
Let's try that again.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, that's YouTube. Bleh. Yeah. Oh, goodness, no, Mark. Not that crap again. All right. I didn't mean you, Mark. Not you personally.
She was quoting Love Actually.
Yes.
Ooh, oh my goodness. There I go already. I know you don't like Oz. Okay. From this point on, no more Oz.
So then after June, what are your plans on touring?
Well,
Long Beach? First stop, Long Beach?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm committed. Is that where you live?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oddly enough, yes.
Is it near? So I don't want to ask an obvious question, but I'm going to. Is that actually a beach? Near a beach?
Well, the part of it is a beach.
About 10 minutes
I've just always
away.
had that Doors fantasy, where like in the movie where Jim and Ray Manzarek meet and he's singing Ray his song Moonlight Drive on the beach. I've just always wanted to go be a hippie and play my guitar on the beach in LA.
All right, so when you get here, we got to direct you to Venice
Beach.
Yes, Venice Beach. That's the one. But
that's where they hung out.
For the last few albums, we have always had a micro marketing a business plan in terms of touring, which is really just you go where anyone likes you, whether it's with the band or solo. So you guys seem to like us, so I am committed to getting there to play at least one show for the album.
Woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? You get here, we'll show you all the locations where the Doors wrote their music and did their photo album covers and the Star Wars locations. Possibilities are endless.
Oh, really? That's so fun. No, I really am. I mean, it's just a matter of when and for what event. And then we'll be doing our usual Canadian dates. I've just been holding off. I'm going to see how this festival goes. We have to drive out of town a bit to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we'll do an Ontario tour. It's probably to Northern Ontario and back, and then go from there. I want to get to Europe and play some solo shows.
Nice.
Is that near Long Beach? About 10 hours away. Okay, so close enough. For some reason, I keep wanting to call it Desert World.
Oh my goodness.
Then,
Jurassic? Is that a Jurassic Park thing? No, Jurassic World. Where are you getting that from?
I don't know. I don't know. I just desert world, not a huge stretch. To buy plenty of coolant for your lawn mowers. Yeah, you heard me out there.
Okay, are we done?